Welcome back, everyone. This is Frank DiMora giving you information concerning events that are connected to Bible prophecy for the last days. And today is March the 2nd, 2024. You see the headline, My Warning, Hamas Was Going to Attack Israel and Why. In my book, I have a chapter. By the way, you can get my book today for free by going over to my website. You see it right here. And in that book, there is a chapter about the Jews building their third temple. I give you a lot of information. But what I want to show you right now is on October the 28th of 2021, in my video, which I entitled War Promise, I pointed out that Hamas would attack Israel and why. Now first, please watch the video below where I present the facts leading up to this Israeli Hamas War that took place on October the 7th of 2023. And then you can watch what the March 2nd, 2024 CBS Saturday morning show just reported concerning what I warned you about back in 2021. Now, I'm also posting two other videos that I produced which will give you specific details on what the Jews have been doing to get ready to build their third temple. Please keep in mind, when you see this third temple standing in Israel on that Temple Mount, you will know that the Antichrist has already arrived. Trust me, and I pray this. I pray that you will receive Jesus as your Savior before you see that third temple starting to be built. So let's go to that warning that I gave to you, that I headed War Promise of 2021 concerning why Hamas was going to attack Israel. Welcome back. This is Pastor Frank DiMora. Today is October the 12th, 2023. And you're looking at the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, a book that I wrote a long time ago, but I've been keeping it up to date as events show us that Bible prophecies are being fulfilled. I'll update this information in the book, so you'll have the latest information, but you'll also be able to see where we have come from in the past all the way to where we are right now. And this way you can see how prophecies have been fulfilled and the stepping stones leading to the prophecies that have not yet been fulfilled. So I have a note for you today. I put up for you some information concerning Hamas and the Israeli war against Hamas, who attacked them on October the 7th. Now I'm going to go over to my book because I'm going to show you what I already put in the book and what I'm putting in the book now, so that you can see, if you know the Bible, you're able to predict and to tell other people what to look for, and it will happen. And the reason why is because if you're familiar with what the Lord revealed to us, you'll know exactly what to say based on the scriptures, and we know everything that the Lord reveals to us in prophecy has to take place. Now this is my book, page 413, and you'll see an article that I put up. This article was October the 8th, 2021. I knew what was going to happen, so I got this information from Israel 365 News. You see the headline, Watch Palestinians Call for Violence in Response to Court Ruling Jews Can Pray on Temple Mount. Now notice, if you will, this arrow, because it's talking about Hamas. And Hamas, back in October the 8th, 2021, as you can see here, a clear declaration of what? Of a war. Why? Very simply, because Jews were going up to the Temple Mount. They thought the ruling was going to be made so that it would change the status quo in the Temple Mount, because the Jews haven't been able to go up to the Temple Mount and pray like the Islamic people were able to do, or still are able to do. So back in 2021, if you knew the scriptures and if you were on watch like the Lord commanded us, you saw this article where Hamas is named in the Psalm 83 war as one of the many nations that border Israel that will come down on Israel, thinking that they can destroy the name of Israel. And so let me take you to May 4th, 2022. Hamas warns Israel playing with fire as Temple Mount groups plan Thursday visit. So again, the problem really is the Temple Mount area, and Hamas made it clear that back in 2021 they declared war. And so as the time went on, now we see that their declaration of the war, and I don't know why Israel didn't take this more serious, but they didn't, obviously. And here we go, October the 7th, war grips Israel, Gaza after Hamas attack and Israeli retaliation. Now, over the years, I've been warning the people to watch concerning the red heifers. And one of the articles, if you were on the watch, you may have seen from the September 30th of 2022. This report entitled Hamas Warns, Red Heifers Signal a New Stage in the Judaization of the Mosques on Temple Mount Calls for Violence. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with prophecy, you may not even know where the Temple Mount is. There's a picture of it. This is the Dome of the Rock, one of the holy sites for the Muslims. It says, Arab media are citing the arrival of the red heifers in Israel as a threat to the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. The announcement coming during the Jewish high holidays and in a period when the IDF is engaged in ongoing operations to combat terrorism in Samaria. Arab League media, including the Al-Manar channel, which is closely associated with Hezbollah, are reporting on the intention of the temple organizations to make a sacrifice on the Temple Mount. The Arabs' announcement comes just a few weeks after Bonei Israel, an organization that connects Christian lovers of Israel to the Holy Land, brought 5 young red cows to Israel with the intention of reinstating the Torah commandment associated with the red heifer. And that commandment would be purification services using the ashes of the red heifer. So without a question, there have been many signs concerning the Jews being able to go up on the Temple Mount in larger numbers, the arrival of the pure red heifers. And again, this is a major deal because, as I said, they haven't been around for almost 2,000 years. So why now all of a sudden? Well, if you know the Lord's warnings and all the last day birth pain signs that are happening all at the same time, as noted in Matthew chapter 24, it just should reinforce to you to listen and watch what Jesus says about the last days, because they're happening right in front of us. And the reason why you may not know this is either you don't know the Bible or both. You don't know the Bible and you're not watching the news. So if you don't know the Bible, how are you going to make a connection between what you're seeing on the news compared to Bible prophecy? You won't be able to do it. But here we are. We saw the warnings, Hamas, Hezbollah, concerning what's taking place on the Temple Mount, and it's all leading to the rebuilding of the Jewish temple, the third Jewish temple, and that will signify, of course, the Antichrist has arrived. There were a few major issues that Hamas was dealing with that led to the Israeli Hamas War. One of them, which we just covered, was the fact that the Jews were now being able to go up in larger numbers and pray in the Temple Mount, which drove the Islamic people crazy, especially Hamas and Hezbollah. Now, after the warning about attacking Israel over the Temple Mount area, an official for Hamas, the Hamas spokesman, which you see here in this 365 News report that came out January 17th of 2024, October 7 attack launched to stop the red heifers. Now, because the red heifers have arrived, they were inspected and they're pure, and the Islamic people know, especially Hamas, know that the red heifers, now that they're here, they can have, if the Jews wanted, the purification services. Now these services are done usually on the Temple Mount, where the temple is built. So Hamas realized how close the Jews are to not only building that third temple, but having now, for the first time in almost 2,000 years, these pure red heifers that had to have arrived for the purification services. The Hamas spokesman gave a rare speech on the 100th day anniversary of the war against Israel. In his speech, he cited the arrival of the red heifers in Israel as one of the motives for the massacre of the Jews on October 7. And finally, before we get to the CBS Saturday morning news that took place today, March the 2nd of 2024, I want to show you that over the years, both in my book, in my post, and in my videos, I've been giving you these updates about the red heifers because we know, those that know Jesus, what is going to happen in the near future concerning that Temple Mount, the building of the temple, the sacrifices, and of course, the arrival of the Antichrist. So if you'd like to see one of those videos, you can go over to YouTube and you'll see one of the posts that I put up March the 3rd, 2021. Obviously, this is way before the Hamas-Israeli war. If you can't find it, you can just go up to the top here in the video and you'll see where it is. You can just type that into your browser and this video will come up. So let's go over now and look at what CBS Saturday Morning News reported about why Hamas attacked. And of course, it has to do with the red heifers.
During its 6th month, the Israeli operation to root out Hamas terrorists there has resulted in the deaths of 30,000 Palestinians and 242 Israeli soldiers. The war started after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, killing almost 1,200 people and taking nearly 230 hostage, some still in captivity. Despite the deadly outcome across the region, one trigger for the Hamas rampage has been widely overlooked. Chris Livesay has the story from Jerusalem.
The infamous October 7 massacre that sparked a war. But one confounding yet eye-opening motive has escaped the headlines. In a recent speech, a Hamas spokesman blamed the Jews for bringing red cows to the Holy Land. The cows he's talking about at a secure, undisclosed location are these, red heifers to be precise. Some Jews and Christians believe they're the key to rebuilding the historic Jewish temple in Jerusalem and to beckoning the Messiah. To understand, you have to go back nearly 2,000 years when the ancient Romans destroyed the last temple in the city. To rebuild it, these believers point to the Bible's book of Numbers. It commands the Israelites to sacrifice a red heifer without defect or blemish, and that has never been under a yoke. Only then can the temple rise again. Caring for them on an Israeli settlement in the West Bank is Yitzhak Mamo.
So we have here, after a long research, we find in Texas.
In Texas?
Texas, United States of America.
Texas Red Angus, flying them 7,000 miles to Israel.
This is not a publicity stunt.
What do you mean?
Meaning, this is something you take very seriously.
Harry Potter is a good story. The Bible is not story. The Bible is a way of God to lead us.
A massive altar already awaits, where the heifers are to be burned. According to some believers, the ceremony needs to be performed right here on the Mount of Olives, looking directly into where the temple once stood. But something else now stands in its place. The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, among the holiest sites in Islam. Today, only Muslims are allowed inside, but that's not stopping Jewish activists outside.
Once you got, you started here.
6 days a week, Melissa Jane Kronfeld leads groups from around the world who defiantly pray, as close as armed guards permit.
It's not about the destruction of Islamic holy sites. It's about preserving this place and being guardians over the house of God for all people.
So you're happy with it where it is?
No, it's going to go 100%, but I believe
It's gonna go.
It's 100%, yeah. The whole thing is going to go. We have to build a temple.
When you say that Dome of the Rock has to go, MJ, it's hard for me to imagine something more incendiary.
Well, let me ask you something. The Middle East seems pretty destabilized right now, and the war, if I'm not mistaken, is already here.
To be clear, hers is a dream not shared by the Israeli government or by the vast majority of Israelis and Jews, but it's been enough to incite numerous Islamist groups. Hamas has dubbed its October 7 assault on Israel the Al-Aqsa Wave and has the Dome of the Rock on its emblem. But this is sacred ground to billions of Muslims globally, not just Hamas terrorists, stresses Imam Mustafa Abu Sway of Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Al-Aqsa Mosque belongs to all Muslims. So you'll find reaction from Indonesia to Toronto to New York. That's really given. Al-Aqsa Mosque belongs to all Muslims, and the Muslims today are 2 billion people.
Simply by performing these acts, are these Jewish activists kicking a hornet's nest?
They are. They are.
A hornet's nest they're kicking all the way to Capitol Hill.
So good to see you here in the nation's capital.
Those sacred cows were showcased in Washington at a recent prayer gathering. Many evangelicals believe these red heifers will usher Christ's second coming.
And we need the Messiah to come, right? So for me, the red heifer, it's red for the blood of Jesus Christ.
Back in the West Bank, Mamo says the ceremony could take place any day.
But can you understand why Hamas could be outraged by something like this?
I cannot understand that even if they are right, why they have to slaughter and rape people to win their war.
Terrorists have been attacking us before we ever dreamed of these cows, he reflects. They don't need them as an excuse to kill. For CBS Saturday Morning, Chris Livesay, Jerusalem.
Now, ever since I've been in the ministry, I've never charged anybody for anything. So if you just found my YouTube channel, please go over to my website. You'll see it again up here, BibleProphecyMan.com. You can download my book for free.